Hello and welcome to this week's video. Despite Hi chicken! Despite very unusual weather and heavy rains, this spring has still somewhat prevailed. In the last week it's been so unusual that we had a very late frost and even snow on the Estrella mountain again. Last year this time I was walking around in t-shirts and the weather was already really warm. This year not so much. It's definitely chilly in between rain showers, and I'm still lighting some fires in the fireplace. This guy is underneath my feet now. The one thing this incredibly sporadic weather is teaching me is at least the Portuguese way of pouco pouco. I think I may have mentioned it previously. It means little by little, or just doing things incrementally, not having to try and race to get something done as fast as possible. And a lot of the things that I've had to undertake in the last couple of weeks, I've definitely had to implement pouco pouco. In this video I work through a couple of different things, so join me as I puzzle things out. Thank you to everyone that left me tips and comments about what I could possibly do with that pergola. It came in super handy as I was working on a lot of different things of how to fix it. So usually I start with what I think is the easiest. And if it doesn't work, then I try a whole bunch of different things. But you know what? You test, you try again. If you fail, you just get up and you try again. So let's see what I end up doing.
This is Girl Meets Farm.
For my first project of the year, renovating my old farmhouse, I turned my attention to the outside, turning the structure from this to this. I am now busy with rounding things off and just finessing certain areas. Alright, after a round of sanding, I think these are looking a lot more rounded off and a lot better. There's some where I will go over it again, but I'm pretty happy with that. I've also just cleared that off. Edges are really not sharp anymore. That's amazing, and it just looks so much better. Also sanded off all my fillings, and that's looking good as well across all of the beams. And also the pine color is actually pretty good, that I have to sometimes search for it. The pine is actually also looking really good, the pine color filler. It's the first time I've used the pine. Some areas you can't even really see it, like that it's been patched, so I'm pretty stoked with that. That looks pretty good. And then I usually use this dark filler, which is a shade darker than the dark mahogany that I use, because the other true mahogany is a little bit more red. But just to test if it actually does come off better, I also bought the mahogany color, because there is no dark mahogany. I guess for the perfect dark mahogany I need to mix most likely this color and that color to get that shade, but I'm usually pretty happy with the way this one comes out on wood. So let's test and see what that one is like. I've just put these on, so they just have to dry out, then I can sand them, and then I can do these. So I think what I'm going to try and do today is to start the whitewash on the ceiling and then see where we are. I would very much like to start putting a stain on at least the front facing pillars as well, because believe it or not, apparently we are due for more rain. in the week upcoming. So yeah, I just want to get the wood a little bit more protected. Ah yes, I forgot. I started working on painting the brackets because I really don't like gold or bronze. If it was silver, I probably would have left it, but I really like the way that black came out. But it's a spray. I was gonna try and take my chances and spray that, but then I thought with the wind it will just cover everything and then everything's going to be mottled. So I had to get a paint that was pretty close. Unfortunately, they don't make that paint in a paint, spray paint in a paint. Well, not at the shop that I was at in any case. So I took anthracite because that color, although it says it's matte black, it looks a little bit more anthracite-y than pitch black. I don't love the way that pitch black matte comes out. And yes, this is all ironic because this is high gloss and not matte. This is actually dry. But now I'm wondering if I should cover it instead with a matte black so that it's all matte and not shiny. But I ran out of masking tape anyway, so it's kind of like a moot point. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue with the painting anyway. I'll pull off the masking tape here, see what that looks like with the beams in the wall. And if it looks okay, then I may keep this paint. Otherwise, I'm going to switch to matte black for the rest of them. And then I can just do that after I've painted anyway. I'll just cover it all really well with masking tape. This seems to have worked. I've even covered the screws for the most part so that they're not too painted and that you can still see the screws sticking out. Yeah. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think I should change to matte black or leave it in this color? Okay, welcome to experiment hour. I want to whitewash the ceiling. So I don't know how opaque I want the white to be. So I'm going to try first a 1-to-1 mix and then a 2-to-1 mix. 1 paint to 1 water, 2 paint to 1 water. And I'm just using these cut off pieces from water bottles, and because I don't have any other measuring container, I'm using the bottom of a milk jug. So I've already put 1 part water in here. This is probably going to be messy, but let's see. Oh, and then I've got this. I don't have any more tongue and groove left over, but the beams are pretty close in color, so I'm going to test the paint on one of the cut-offs. Yeah, if this even works, I don't know. Alright. Meep. I knew this was going to be messy. I should probably need some kind of mixy device. Do I have anything? I have this old metal lying around here. I'm sure it'll be fine. Right. So. That is a 1-to-1. That is really light. I think we're gonna have to go to a 2-to-1. I'm actually gonna use the same container because I think I know that the 1-to-1 is just too light for my liking. So let's do another paint. See if that's any better. Let's see if that is any different. That's definitely better. How do I want less opaque? I think you kind of realized where that was going. I mixed up a 3-to-1 and this is the 3-to-1, and I think I'm really happy with that. So that's what we're going to work with. You might be asking yourself, why am I using a brush and not a roller? Actually, because when it comes to whitewashing, I prefer the actual paintbrush look. So I don't mind if you see the brush strokes with this specifically. Yeah. Also, I have a little bit more control maybe with the paintbrush. But for the most part, it is because I don't mind seeing the brush strokes when it comes to. And you might be asking, why has she not masked up the beams on the sides? Well, first of all, I don't have any masking tape. And secondly, when it's a Sunday, nothing close by is open. I would need to drive to a big city to go and get that. By city, I mean Banco, which is an hour, which means it's a 2-hour round trip. I don't really feel like that. But also it's white, and if I get some on the beams, the stain will remove it. So I'm not too worried about that. What is more important is to get this as even as possible. So I think I'm going to switch you off, and I'll see you a little later. So I've just finished literally the first section, and I don't know if the comparison will come up on camera, but you can see that the whitewash removes the yellowing in the wood a little bit. This may still dry a little bit lighter, and then I might give it a second coat if it's not light enough. But yeah, it hopefully will get a little bit lighter, and it will hopefully be worth it in the end, because this little section just took me an hour and there's that much more to go. So my neighbor just rocked up with his tractor, the guy that's been helping me on the farm. He just rocks up out of the blue sometimes, and he's using his tractor. He's actually cutting my grass, and he's also just driving over all the pieces of olive cuttings. We will see what that looks like later, but this is just crazy to me what a tractor can do. With the sun being out and the days being really hot, especially in the sun, we've had so many wasps returning and bees. I read on some group that if you create this, it's basically a paper bag, or in my case it's brown paper wrapping, with inside it contains like a bunch of plastic bags to create this oval type shape. Yeah, mine isn't very good, but if you put this up in your garden or under your roof, I've heard that, or I've read that it will keep wasps and bees away because they think it's a hornet's nest. Now look, I might experiment with the position of this thing, but if this works, I am totally happy to keep it up there even if it's ugly. While I'm busy painting, I thought I would also just point out like how much of a difference this pergola roof really makes. At the moment it is 4:45. Our clocks have just changed. So a week ago it would have been 3:15. At the moment it is 4:45, and half of this area is still in shade, and it really does feel pleasant under here. It's certainly hot in the sun, like over here, but over here in the shade, it is really pleasant to be out here. So I am super happy. I thought I would have been happy if I had shade until 1 o'clock in peak summer. And yes, the sun is still moving, so this little line may still become shorter, I guess, until 2 or so p.m. We'll see. But if I can make it till midday or even 1 p.m. and it looks like this, I am stoked with the decision to put this pergola up. That has dried pretty well, actually, and yeah, I think that worked pretty good, and I can now paint over that. I have a very noisy visitor. I'm not sure if Mr. Bumble is looking for a new home. Mostly all the posts are done, and it's already starting to look a lot better in this color, I think. And at least I've got one coat on the outside for the rain. I've also decided that I definitely want a lighter shade on this, so I want it a little bit more white, not so opaque. And I changed my mind. I made a decision on the paint. Unfortunately, as you know, putting matte paint over shiny paint doesn't really work, so I had to go for another shiny black, and I covered the grey with black, and I think that looks better. Even though it is shiny, it is what it is, and also because of the brushed metal, or because of the shiny metal, I would have needed to sand it down if I wanted to put a matte paint on, and I think I would have always had issues with it. But this is one coat, and I will definitely do another, but I think I'm okay with that. I think this is, I'm a little bit happier with the black than with the grey because it was shiny. If it was matte like that on the post, I think I would have been super happy. But yeah, I didn't like the shiny. It wasn't working for me. So yeah, this is how far we've gotten to, and it's the end of the day. This is why I am surrounded by hungry lions demanding food. Here's another one lying over there. Five cats, guys. 5. And there we are, all chopped up for next winter. Now I just have to make a good little firewood storage area. And I can't tell you how amazing this smells. It actually, this wood, it smells a little bit like olives. Oh, it smells so nice. I kept a couple aside that had really nice patterns. The heart, of course, and then one that was almost resembling a heart, and a more round one, but it has nice markings. I'm gonna do special projects for those ones. And here's the rain. Definitely need to get gutters up. Whew. But oh, and it's just coming down there on the wall. Ooh la la. Okay, yeah, we have a leak here. That's not great. And yeah, this whole section here. With the rain continuing, as it's been getting worse and worse, so has the leaks, and now to the point where it is definitely coming through the ceiling in places. This one obviously continues to come through, but now it is also coming through the ceiling here, and on this panel here where the electrics are as well. I don't know if the drips are going to come up on camera. And the last panel is also, oh, and there's one that's just formed here, but I think you can almost see this, the discoloration in the wood. That's wet. So there's definitely water on the wood. That's not good. Only problem is the rain is continuing. For probably another day or two. And I will only have, I think there's only 2 dry days next week for me to try and figure out what I can do about this. But this wood is just gonna end up rotting, and this is all coming through the membrane. So the best case scenario is I know the membrane is not flush to the wall on that side. I don't know if that's the problem. After pruning the olives, usually every year I do a big heat burn to get rid of most of the debris. But this year the neighbour that was helping me suggested that instead of burning it, I keep it and shred it. So he brought his tractor and he shred most of the pieces, but the really large pieces remaining look pretty unsightly. And instead of burning it this year, I think I'm going to let it dry out and use it as kindling next winter. But I don't love things being untidy. So every day when I come and walk the dogs, I also start making little heaps to make things look a little bit neater. And also, it makes these little heaps make it a little bit easier to come and collect it with the wheelbarrow. But I will let these guys dry out here in their little heaps and collect it once I've finished the whole section. I've also started on the upper section. I usually start where I'm walking to make things a little bit easier. But I've not managed to do too many up here. Lots to do. But I certainly have a lot of kindling. So it's time to fix the roof. and I've got everything out here. I've marked off where the main issue is with that pole sticking out there, so that I know that is in line with that door where all the water is coming through. So I can kind of not really see the issue there, but I can see the issues here. So the idea for me was to pull those back row of tiles off, put some more membrane on, another ripper on top, just to even them out so that they're not bending down. But the problem is I can't make it onto the roof. I get here, maybe 1 or 2 steps higher, and I literally stand here. I just need to take this step onto this roof, and I just can't. I feel so stupid being on this ladder, on this roof, being so close to just getting there and fixing it. But I can't. I've had 5 false starts, I think, and I just can't bring myself to put my foot on the roof. So a friend of mine has offered to come around and at least just be here for moral support. But I do just need to get this done. But I feel like such an idiot. So my friend G was just here, and together we got up on the roof and we fixed it. Doesn't that look so much better? So what we did was we put an extra membrane on the back so that if any water does go through, at least it won't come through the wall. This is my theory anyway. We placed additional rippers on that membrane on the back as well, so that it can lift the tile back ends so that it has a forward flow and not a backwards flow down the wall. It looks so much better. While we were up here, we also repositioned my house front row of tiles over there so that that is not so lifted either. All in all, I think that looks so much better, and we will see when the rains hit again if that does help. No, I mean, I do think it will, because that just makes such a huge difference already. Thanks so much, G. Here we go. This is the big test to see if our fixes work. And I do know I need gutters, so that will be on the card. But let's look at the pergola. Well, we're by the door, which was the heavy leak, and that is gone. Thought I saw something come through here. No? Well then, so far so good. Oh, I really need gutters. This is really not great for the wood. But other than that, happy days. All dry. What I am also interested in is, I'm trying to see if the water is coming over the tiles or under the tiles. But honestly, it's really difficult to see. Once it was dry again, I did put my hands under the tiles to feel it was wet or dry, and in most areas it was dry, so I'm hoping everything is coming over the tiles. I hope you enjoyed watching today's video. If you did, please do leave me a like and a comment if you have anything to say. I'm especially keen to hear what you guys think I should do with the floor. I have a couple of ideas in mind already, but unfortunately my budget doesn't allow for me to do anything major at this point. I've seen a couple of channels do some really cool stuff with pallets and doing pallet decks, so that's definitely one of the options that I am thinking of. Also, maybe just putting some gravel down to even things out is another option. Long term, I do have a couple of things in mind design wise, including some beautiful black slate tiles, which I absolutely love. But yeah, I think we're a long time away from that because slate is really expensive here, ironically. Also, priorities for me are going to be finishing up all the paintwork that I've started with, and also I have found a place, I should say, that does beautiful aluminium brown gutters that are actually in the same color as my pergola posts. So I think that's going to be stunning. And if I understood him correctly, they also do custom-made fascias in steel. And I will go and chat to him, I think, after all the Easter holidays when they're open again, and see what we can do about that. So there's a couple of exciting things on the cards for me, getting things done in the next couple of weeks. But as I mentioned, with all the rain, it's definitely going to be sporadic. If you're celebrating, happy Easter. And if you're not, this is like a great time of year to not be too concerned about how much chocolate you consume. See you next time. A lekker South African favorite. A lekker pompoen cookie.